I got it. Okay, so now the reason we're all here, opening session, staffing in the BAS industry. As Scott said, I'm Brad White, President of SES Consulting, one of the contributing editors for AutomatedBuildings.com. I also happen to run a small business, and I'm sure as many of you know, it's getting really hard to find good people and keep them. So that's what we're here to talk about today, and I think we've got a great panel assembled. I'm really excited to hear from all of the folks that we have here. Really good cross-section between those training the new people coming into the industry, hiring, trying to keep them, apprenticeships. Like we've kind of got it all covered here. So I'm going to stop talking very shortly and turn it over to them. But really, at the end of this session, we're hoping that you all leave here. You know, any of you here who are in the business of trying to find good people to work with or for you, hopefully you'll have some new tips or tricks that will help you do that a little bit better. So I'm going to turn it over now, and we'll start with closest to me, and we'll work our way down. Kim, I'll let you get started and introduce yourself and kind of give us your perspective.
Good morning. Glad you guys made it. It was a harrowing journey in here today. My name's Kim Brown. I work for Scott Cochran at Cochran Supply and Engineering. I am the Chief People Officer, and I have done a lot of different roles prior to the current one that I'm at, but most of them have included some form of recruiting. So I have been helping Scott and the company build great teams. So I'm here to kind of talk through things as the owner perspective, but also we are a service provider of training as well. So we have had a lot of experience in getting people trained up in our industry. So one of the things that I would like to just hit on before I pass this along is some of the most important things that people should be thinking about are succession planning. I know a lot of you are in here to learn how to build the right teams, but one thing I think is really important is taking a look at your current staff and trying to understand where there may be knowledge gaps and recognize that, you know, when you have people retiring or aging out of this industry, if you are looking to backfill them in a couple of months, you are going to be struggling. Sometimes it takes months to find the right person, and we measure success in this industry in years. So try to be more strategic with the things that you're doing as far as looking for what your goals are in the 1, 3, and 5 year marks. And another thing that I'd like to hit on is that there are some pretty significant generational differences, as you're aware. Gen Z is coming into the workforce, millennials are now mid-career. It's really important to have places where people feel like they are doing something important, where they are giving back. People in millennial and Gen Z generations are looking to make an impact. So one thing that you can do is be not only an industry ambassador, but make sure you have a branding strategy for your company. I often find when people that I'm interviewing are also interviewing me back. They want to find if this is the right fit, if the things that we are providing are going to enrich their lives. And not a lot of people have focused on that. And I know that it might sound a little crazy and they're coddling these young kids, but the reality is it's here to stay, and you kind of have to change your tune a little bit and sell them on working for you. And if you're not doing that successfully, it's going to be a hard road to find the right people to slide into your organization.
Cool. I think that's a great transition into Mike and what you guys do. You're the one training some of these young people.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the opening session. Yeah, Mike Conway, a co-founder and executive director of Stacks+Joules. So Stacks+Joules is a nonprofit workforce training program for the building automation system industry. Our focus is really bringing in totally new talent. Talent that we describe as often like unexpected. So we have 2 programs. We work with high schools to bring like work-based learning in the context of building automation, and coding, and lighting controls, HVAC basics. And then we have an adult direct-to-workforce training program, all based in New York City. And it's going super well. We've been at this now for 5 years. We're graduating our 6th adult cohort on Friday. And we've got it rolling in New York. So what that looks like is we now have graduates of the program who've been out working for the likes of Climatech, Automated Logic, Train, Tech Systems, Dual Fuel, so a range of different types of companies and sizes. And they've actually come back to this class and are directly recruiting. So they've been sent by their companies to recruit from our class. And that is, it's rolling, right? It's really going. The other thing that's happening is our long game is coming online. So we've been working with these high school juniors. The first group was in 2019, and they are graduating this year from college, and they're starting to reach back out to us. We just had one who's got a computer science degree, coming up on a computer science degree, has an offer for $80,000 a year job working for a defense contractor. She wants to be in building automation, and I think it does connect to this sense of purpose, you know, that contributing something positive. But she and they, what they report is like, they love the combination of physical computing, right? They love that they're not just creating an app or something on the screen, but that they, you know, can launch it and they can see, well, you know, that little striker slowly turn. But they actually do like that, you know. They like to see the lights flash. They like to see that there's a physical component and that they're contributing to their city, right? They really start to feel it. So that's who we do, and I guess my one reflection is, yeah, along the lines of this time frame, is that as we start looking at next cities, looking here in Chicago, looking at Detroit, looking at some other markets, we know that our approach is going to take time to get that rolling, right? We need to work with those early champions, companies that hire, understanding that in a year and a half, those hires are going to be the ones who are starting to recruit from our programs, and that's when things are really starting to roll. So, yeah, it's really optimistic look on this side.
Hello everybody, my name is Allison Lewis and I'm the Program Director at Automation Strategy and Performance. I'm an apprenticeship expert and a career development expert. I work with hundreds of employers and hundreds of apprentices to help them find their career development program. And so a little bit about what ASP does, or Automation Strategy and Performance. We're the largest and fastest growing employer group in North America that helps these different companies really strengthen their workforce through these emerging technology occupations. And these emerging technology occupations are critical to many different critical infrastructure sectors or industries, including building automation. So one of the things that I have done since being with ASP is I've stood up the apprenticeship program from a registered apprenticeship program standard, meaning that the people that come through it have a credential that never expires. And the good news is that we're finding that people from all different ages, from all different backgrounds, are really attracted to apprenticeship as their career development mechanism of choice. So we have, I think our average age is actually, it's quite surprising, it's I believe 36 years old for our average apprentice. That means that there's many incumbent or existing employees that are willing to cross-train or upskill themselves through the apprenticeship model. So whether somebody is coming into the program brand new, and we do, I think our largest, we've got a lot of people who are completely brand new to the industry, who I love to see, you know, get paired with a mentor on day one and really work through building those skills, and the employers are willing to really back that with career development agreements. And so I absolutely love my job. I think that one of the best things that we do is help people get connected to a wonderful, nimble career development pathway. I found this industry by chance. I met a mentor at an association meeting, the AEE, the Association of Energy Engineers, and from there, I was just lucky to be there. So what are we actually doing to attract people? That's the question I want to pose. And I think that for most companies, apprenticeship is an excellent career development mechanism, whether it be for your existing people to cross-train them or to bring new people in.
Thanks, Allison. And last but not least, Skip.
Hi, everyone. And those of you who were in here at the beginning of the session saw that I came in about 3 minutes late. That was actually perfect because my first Uber canceled on me, just like a good candidate would. And so I'm a recruiter in the smart buildings industry, 21 years of experience in recruiting, have a background in mechanical engineering. I had previously been in industrial automation, and in 2018 switched over to building automation, and I won't look back, it's great. So I'm going to share a few slides with you real quick, and I'm going to fly through these. They will be on this session's landing page. Happy to answer any questions. And I know Kim, Mike, and Allison here real well. While they can help sometimes with a current need, they're doing a lot of work in bringing people into our industry. 2 years ago, the boomers were retiring at the rate of 10,000 a day. This year, it's 12,000 a day. So our senior people who have all the expertise, they're leaving in droves. Now, I got a few questions for you. Who in here works for a company that is 200 people in size or less? That's what I figured. Now, anybody plus 200? Okay, thank you. Right now, there aren't any Bureau of Labor Statistics in data on us that is visible to me, you. BLS has all kinds of information. And if you pay big bucks for it, you can get it. Like 15,000 a year, for example, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no need to do that. We can infer a lot of things from the data that's made available to us. So this is what I'm going to fly through, because while it is not exactly where we are in our industry, it gives us a representation, because it does flow quite well. So the first slide here shows the historical unemployment rate going back to 1990. Some economists say below 5% is full employment, others say below 4%. So that 4 to 5% range is basically we're at full employment. Right now we are at 3.7%. We're heading into a recession. And next slide. So as we head into this recession, there's some things to keep in mind. First, as was being said previously, each generation is indeed different. And so this article right here in Automated Buildings is excellent to help all of us understand the generational differences, as well as, and this is critical, there is a huge difference in everybody's perspective of their career, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Since 21-22, what candidates are looking for and what they want is different than what it was 10, 15 years ago. And I'll work with hiring managers who will say, well, if they don't sell me on the job, I'm not hiring them. Well, you know, there's other things we should consider. And so this is an article that will help everyone understand that. Next slide, please. Now, there is a company called ITR Economics. If you are a business owner or are in charge of the budget and operations and forecasting in your firm in any way, shape, or form, you should get at least a minimum of the $20 a month information that ITR puts out. I have had this for years, $20 a month, and here's what we know. First of all, ITR Economics has a 94.7% accuracy on their forecasts since they were founded in 1948. So again, we can take this information to the bank, so to speak. So in the upper left, you see the major categories that they follow and the prediction for in 2022 what they have. And I can't quite see everything, but that's okay. We're not going into detail on anything here. It will be on the landing page, and then on LinkedIn in the days ahead, I'll be commenting and writing posts on a lot of this if you're interested in digging deeper. Now, what is really critical, I think, is the following. How many in here focus mostly on residential? Okay, maybe 10% of the audience. And everybody else, I assume, is commercial. Raise your hand if you are. Okay, so in their forecasting on the bottom left, and if there are behind this, a couple slides I'm going to show you, is every one of these blown up, and we're not going to go over those, but it is available for you. So in the bottom left, this is their, everything's cyclical. So this is their cyclical map of where the, excuse me, the groups are as of December. So in the bottom, housing basically had a hard landing, and you can see it is beginning to come out of the valley. It's still going to take a couple quarters, but it's basically, again, some cities are going to be worse than others, et cetera, et cetera. This is the macro view for the entire United States. So housing is beginning to head up the slope into recovery. Now, you'll see commercial is at the top. We've been having it good, and we're going to have it good for about 1 or 2 more quarters, and then we're sliding down. They don't know yet if it's going to be a soft landing valley or a hard landing valley. And as well, some cities may be hard and some soft. But recognizing that, the most important thing, the most important takeaway is this. Historically, when we head into the valley, there's going to be a surplus of candidates. That is no longer true. And they forecast out to 2050. And between now and 2050, under no circumstances are they forecasting any longer a surplus of candidates. Right now, there are 3 million more jobs than there are unemployed people. Now again, that's the macro view. You drill it down into smart buildings and building automation, etc. Each little market and sub-niches, you know, it's going to have its nuances. But the big picture is we're heading into the, starting that downslope. There will be talent available. If you are strategic, now is the time to begin to focus on trying to get some of that talent. All right, next please. All right, keep going. Back up, please.
Oh, sorry.
I had information that I didn't get in time to stick in there, but I will explain that one slide in a few minutes. Keep going, please. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, back up. All right, real quick. When you go to ITR on economics and get the $20 a month program, you have access to these webinars that they present too. So these webinars, the information they present is good for at least 6 to 9 months. So you see here the non-residential construction space and housing over on the left. I've got webinars on that to tell you where the market is. Next, please. All right, now the final couple of things. We are in a specialized niche. Generally, when you look for people, and especially as a small business, you have 2 choices. One is to post. So the small business will post on Indeed or LinkedIn generally. They'll spend anywhere from $200 to maybe $1,000 on postings. You put that post out there, and something like 10 million people a day look at jobs on Indeed. So when you post, it's sort of like post and pray. When that doesn't work, what's your next option? Generally, if nobody's in your network, you come to somebody like me, and a full-fledged search is going to be $18,000 to $25,000. There is a need in this space for something in between post and pray and a full search. You don't need a full search on every person you hire. So we are putting together and will be rolling out by about April Smart Buildings Industry.Jobs. And we are building a pool of people that you can have access to. You go on Indeed, you pay their fee, and you have access to the Indeed database. And trying to find the right building automation candidates. Say we need somebody with, FX experience or Metasys or what have you in Dallas, Texas. You try to find that on Indeed, good luck. So the blank slide was going to show that over the last 3 years, we've been building a database, and right now we have 6,700 building automation controls technicians across the United States. But maybe 5% have been vetted, but 6,700 who we know and have contact information on. We have 3,000 and some odd hundred building control engineers, as an example. And so we are building this database. When we get to April and get the opportunity to roll it out, I will explain in a moment how that benefits our industry. And to validate this idea, this article on Indeed was just released. You see, it's January. It just came out last week. And it's telling us that Indeed recognizes the exact same thing. It's called a programmatic job something, whatever they're going to call it. But basically, they will start identifying people in the Indeed database that companies can have access to when they, because on Indeed you can post a job, you can search the candidate database, two separate programs that they offer. Now you see, in the top paragraph, Indeed's all-purpose job posting mechanism is getting a refresh. It's branching into industry-specific programming and services. Bottom line, growing demand among employers to fill niche roles in a tight labor market. But then look at the second paragraph. It's only going to be made available to enterprise-scale customers, i.e., employers of 5,000 plus people. So you and I won't have access to that. And then I see a question, and then we'll take it. And then you see their tech-specific sites already draw 500 million monthly visitors. So even though they're doing this, and it validates the concept that I was sharing a moment ago, we as small businesses do not have access to that. Brad, do you want to take the question?
Yeah, we can take some questions, yeah.
Great. I'd like to hear from the panel. It sounded pretty interesting that you were talking about expanding the workforce, because I get that a lot of people looking like me are leaving, which is great. But I'd like to hear from the rest of the panel. How are you expanding? How do you attract? How do you start somebody who doesn't know anything about the industry? Can you start maybe with the lady from on the right?
Can we do it?
Yeah, I think one thing that is important is everyone in this room and everyone in this building at this conference needs to be an industry advocate. You should be talking to your children and other people you know about your job and what is great about it. People are more likely to take recommendations from people that they know that have been successful. And if you are doing that, you should be a brand ambassador for what this industry is doing. There's a lot of us fell into this industry. I took a job answering phones, had no idea what I was in for the next 20 years. Super happy that I landed where I did. But I think networking with people you know is the #1 way to start, and then also community college outreach is also very important. Building relationships with people that are in the counseling departments, going to job fairs, just getting the word out there. I work a lot of job fairs, even when I don't have jobs open, just so that I can get the word out there about our industry and the many different ways that you can enter it through engineering side, programming side, residential service. There's so many things that you could do. Just being an ambassador, I think, is the most important.
Yeah, we just very purposefully cast a very wide net and look in places that are overlooked. And so we find this unexpected talent. And we do that by partnering with community organizations that are already providing a range of services to the community. And they do recruitment. And so from that wide net, a typical profile of our adult direct-to-workforce training student is also in like probably a little younger, in the late 20s, early 30s. They're working often multiple jobs, just as cashiers or Uber driving or delivering food. So they've been out, they've been struggling, and also many are have a family, have a child, or more. So they've been struggling, right? And you don't look at someone like that. You're not checking out at the grocery store and thinking like, oh, this might be a good candidate for BAS. These are incredible workers. I mean, when we hear these descriptions of the millennials and oh my God, well, these are millennials and Gen Zers, and they work, they have families. When they get an opportunity, they're on it. So we have very little turnover from the placements, so that because they're going from $15 an hour, which is minimum wage in New York City, to $60,000, $28 an hour. They have health care for their family. They're able to move out of public housing into a more stable neighborhood environment. They're able to put their kids into like a dance class, things like that. That's the impact that happens. And so that's part of the shift in expanding is we do it very purposefully. So the other thing is just quickly is that we also are really conscious that it's not just what you're teaching, like that is key, right? This is a very technical industry, they're very advanced skills. So we work with our industry partners to target very specific competencies, rather than thinking we can do it all and then it's gonna take a 2 or 4 year degree. So we work with them to say like, oh, day one, what are some tasks that you could have them do while they continue to train? But we also, how we teach is very purposeful. So for example, our very first unit is, we use Introduction to Python Coding in the context of lighting controls, and we have a little lighting kit with 3 wireless programmable lights. And the outcome of that is they learn to program a light show to whatever song they want. But interwoven are those control strategies. That's how it also troubleshooting code, right? So we're doing it not by a full-on like direct instruction. They're struggling and finding out like, oh yeah, you miss a period. Or you choose an inappropriate or a variable name, and the next person can't figure out what your code's doing. Like all of that is embedded in the process of what we're doing, and it's very strategically planned that way, and that's what hooks them. So then, when we get into HVAC fundamentals, and we're grinding to pass the EPA 608 refrigerant handling certification, they're hooked. Most programs are starting with that grind and starting with a mechanical outlook, which is key. I'm not belittling it. I'm just saying the order matters for this generation. Start with
that's where you should
technology.
start,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have so many thoughts about this. I think one of the best ways to attract people is to make it really clear where their time is going and what their time will result in. And I think one of the things I constantly go over is also compensation. And looking at that geographically speaking for particular employers, looking at what somebody has been making at their company or what they're entering with. And the people in the program, the career seekers, they become very, I guess, dedicated when they understand that, oh, I can, make $5 more an hour, and what that, per year or something like that. So they start at a more of an entry level wage, and I think that, a lot of people, they really don't just want a job. They would like a career. They want something that is going to help them be a valuable part of the team and feel like, okay, I have skills that are going to make this workplace better. I'm going to help my mentor not be so thinly stretched, and really causing people to realize, okay, this is so worth it that we're willing to pay you more, we're willing to check these competencies. This is what matters to our team, and it aligns with these occupations that are in demand. Not just in a silo where you just have a job and you do this thing every single day and you don't see the larger picture, really drawing the larger picture. And making sure, another thing that I'd like to say about the younger generation is a lot of them are really interested in IT. So talking about how that is in your workplace and the IT skills that they will develop and become competent with through these, through the program that they're in. I think that makes a huge difference. But my biggest thing when I talk to the apprentices, I have my monthly open houses with them and I see their faces and meet them, is when I pull out, when I say, this is you'll be put on a progressive wage schedule, it all of a sudden clicks. And we have 97% retention. So that is a huge win.
Well, yeah, that IT,
part.
so true. When we pull out Wireshark, I mean, they see that everything's routed through Virginia, or like, what's this, something from China, something's coming in or going through a Chinese address, or Russia, or other, it sparks this like awareness on their part because they're on these things all the time. But they also feel like magicians when we like start looking at the BACnet traffic and they start to understand each line and what it's saying. They love it. They feel empowered. They feel smart and valued, and that's what hooks. And they just become these great workers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sort of to pick up on something you said, Allison, about the really high retention rate. And I know when we were planning some of this, Kim, you had some really interesting comments about, like, from the employer's perspective. And you said earlier, you find yourself being interviewed. Like, what are the things you're being asked? And I guess, like, what are the answers that you find candidates are looking for to not only join your team, but I guess, it's one thing to hire people, but it's another thing to keep them over,
Yes.
more than a year or 2 or 3. Like, how do you sort of help them, make a career with you?
Well, people often ask me right away, how long are people at your company? What's your average tenure? And at Conference Supply, it's very long. We have half our company has been here for 10 plus years. So people come and they stay. First, that is very important. Retention rates are really something that people should be looking at, because it's not it's not just important to bring in fresh people. You have to keep the people that you have been investing in. So every person that you hire, you take the time to teach them certain skills, they grow when they're with you. People shouldn't feel like they have to change jobs in order to meet their own career paths that they're looking for. So people are asking me these questions, whether that's attainable for them. People give younger generations a lot of flack for job hopping and doing different things, but people do that because they feel like they have to. If you are willing to fork over tons of money to bring in a fresh person, but you're not going to pay the person that's been there for 8, 10 years, only incremental increases when their skill level has doubled, their productivity has doubled, you're going to struggle with that. So you have to be very strategic in looking at the people that you have and how you can continue to push them up their career ladder, which is another part of succession planning that I was talking about earlier, is making sure that people are sliding into these roles as other people are aging out. And you have to do that looking at things in a longer term lens. People also often ask me about work-life balance. Very, very important. Making sure that people are feeling fulfilled at work, but that they also have time to spend with their families. After COVID, I know that's one thing that Skip had mentioned, is people are looking at things so different and they want to be home with their families. They got a little taste of what it's like if you didn't have to work and you didn't have to be out and about all the time and you can just slow down for a second. It really is nice. So those are a lot of things that people are asking me, and compensation. Number one, people want more money. They don't want to feel like they have to struggle at the end of the day to pay their bills because eggs are $9 depending on what city you live in, and that's just 1 hour of work for a carton of eggs isn't going to cut.
Any questions before we have a few minutes left? Kennedy?
I have a question. So Google laid off like, I don't know, 12,000 software engineers. And I guess my question is there an opportunity that you see to pull from those people to get into this industry?
Absolutely.
And how?
Absolutely. So one of the things I stress to the workers, the apprentices, career seekers, is that this industry is kind of a little bit of a harbor away from AI. Some of these things a computer or AI will never be able to do. So this industry, yeah, you might get a job as a programmer. I'm thinking about my younger sister. She wants to do programming so badly. And I'm like, I think that's really great, but some of the things that you're doing, I'm not sure if you will have, if there will be demand for that. You could be in a position where you're gonna have to find another thing. So I think, you know, these mechanical skills and things like that, you know, a computer will never be able to do it. So that's one of the ways to attract, because I think people are really afraid of being replaced with AI.
And Mike, I remember one of our planning calls, Mike, I think it was you made the comment about kind of the purpose, and that being one thing about our industry is like maybe comment on that a bit, just as a differentiator from sort of the traditional software development.
Yeah, I think I spoke to this a little earlier, just that, you know, there's a real, one is just like a curiosity in the mechanical, and being able to control the mechanical, it's gripping, they love it. And the other point is like, so in our high school programs, we'll have them do like a lighting audit, we get them into their mechanical rooms, we set up like hobo data loggers in their classroom to start looking at CO2 levels and start talking about like, let's look, we're going to look at the CO2 levels, right? And if they dip below the recommended thresholds, we're going to petition for an extra grade because there's research that shows if you're involving them in the importance of this work. We go on a tour to a hospital, right? And you're in the mechanical rooms and we're identifying supply and return and the different loops. And, but we also walk by the neonatal ward and it just like kicks in for them. Like that air needs to be refreshed. That, you know, we need negative pressure in these surgeries in these rooms. They start to feel the connection to those lives, right? Those babies in the ward, to their parents, to the people in the surgery. They're hooked, right? They're just hooked on all of these different levels. That's my point around, we're working, you know, on our high school side, they're just graduating from college and they're coming back. They want to be in this. And so it's you know, where is there opportunity to hear from the industry that like, how do we get, you know, this type of talent? We've got them hooked. We need to be able to open the doors of opportunity and get them placed in.
So we went after IT because of the layoffs. And we had a lot of them that really wanted to participate with the controls. But when it went to the physical labor, we had a lot of them that couldn't handle a ladder. So we invested all this time in training and they didn't even have those skills. Is there anything you guys are doing to make sure that they have core skills?
Totally.
Before we go there?
It's embedded into how we're doing it. You know, like it's not just like sitting in a classroom. It's actually the work-based learning. So they're doing the practices, right? When we do a tour, they're actually doing a round with the building engineer and recording, you know, the readings that they have to, and that's how we teach about the systems, rather than just teaching about the systems.
They go on a roof.
They can go on a roof. I mean, for us, this is part of like looking in these overlooked areas, right? And when you take away that college requirement and you say someone who's been showing up, doing, you know, working on the side on a construction job, showing up and doing, you know, bagging groceries, day in, day out, taking care of, trying to raise a family on that kind of a wage. Yeah, they're climbing ladders. They are so like locked into having a career outlook.
Yeah.
And having that pathway that's kind of mapped for them and the opportunity to continue to step up, that's partially why we are looking in these different communities.
Just, thank you. I noticed, just watching the time, I think we're at time, so anyone wants to duck out now, thank you very much for coming. QR code on the screen will take you to the landing page for this session. It's also on the building's webpage. That's where skip slides will be, some other resources we'll put up after will be, recording of the session will be eventually. Please come back 10 o'clock for a Mark P. Talk session, and at 11 for the celebration, 25th anniversary celebration. We'll stick around for a few minutes, take more questions. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of the